Have you ever wondered why your stream gets all choppy, laggy or blocky like this? Today we're looking at the reasons why this happens and how to fix it, so if you want to take your IRL live streams to the next level, then this is the video for you. We'll be expanding on a concept or diagram I talked about in another video where we explore the relationship between video resolution, bitrate and bandwidth. If you're new to these terms, I'll be explaining what it all means. In the background, I'm going to play a video from a recent live stream where I was testing the default Twitch app. On the bottom right of the video player, you'll see the settings button where you'd normally change the playback speed. Jump into advanced, then enable video stats where you'll see a pop-up menu containing a couple of things important for us, namely the video resolution of 720p, FPS or frames per second, and the bitrate. Let's start with the first part of the diagram I mentioned earlier, video resolution, which along with frame rate both affect your stream's image quality. The Twitch app chooses both the video resolution and frame rate for you based on your phone's hardware capacity for IRL live streaming and your bandwidth or mobile upload speeds. For my S23 Ultra, it shows a resolution of 720p. If you keep an eye on the frame rate, you'll notice it goes up and down from a baseline of 30. This is called a variable frame rate, which can be jarring to watch and terrible to edit with the audio going out of sync. In either case, there's no manual way to choose your own settings like Full HD with a fixed frame rate of 60 fps. You'll need a different app for that, which we'll get to in a sec. As for hardware, you really should stream with a good phone. Recent phones have better cameras for low light and stabilization, 4G, maybe 5G, and more bands to stay connected longer. And if you can't upgrade, get to know your phone, what it can and can't do, so you'll know what you'll need in the next one. For now, you can switch to an app like IRL Pro on Android, or for iPhone, Larix, Streamcast Pro, or this new one for my channel, Streamcaster. All these apps should give you an option of live streaming with a resolution of 720 or 1080p with a fixed frame rate of 30 or even 60 fps. What you can and can't use will depend on knowing a few more of the basics. So let's move on to the second part of the diagram, bitrate. The Twitch app's take on bitrate is a bit like video frame rate. It goes up and down based on your bandwidth. When your bandwidth is good, the bitrate goes up. When it's bad, the bitrate goes down. In this part of my live stream, you can see the bitrate is around 2500 kilobits per second. The stream looks good until I enter this elevator where the bitrate drops below 1000, and well, it looks pretty terrible. Here the app is sacrificing stream image quality in order to stay connected, because the stream would probably end if you try to keep the good settings. For this, it would need disconnect protection, where a separate system monitors your phone's connection, like the bitrate. When the bitrate drops below a certain value, you might see a message saying the bitrate is low, explaining to your viewers why the stream suddenly looks choppy or blocky. When the bitrate gets to an even lower threshold, or 0, your viewers might see a message saying you'll be right back. To elaborate on all this, good stream image quality is tied to a preferred minimum bitrate. Apps like Streamcaster call this BMR, or bitrate matches resolution. You'll get the BMR after choosing your resolution, frame rate and format. The last one, format, can be described as a type of video compression used when sending your live stream over the internet. There's the industry standard of H.264 and H.265 or HEF. H.264 is what most platforms allow when you live stream to them directly, like when you use the Twitch app. HEF is what I recommend in some of my videos because of how efficient it is for IRL live streaming. We'll cover HEF in a second. For now, we're going to take a quick detour and jump into Streamcaster for iPhone. You should see similar options in Larix, Streamcast Pro and IRL Pro on Android if you have them instead. Open the settings, video and resolution, then check or change it to 1080p. For frame rate, choose 60 fps. Scroll down to format and choose H.264. Then check or enable bitrate matches resolution. Just below the toggle button, you should see the BMR recommended bitrate of 4800 kilobits per second. It's not important if your numbers are different because everyone's probably using different apps and phones. What is important is how they change for your phone when you change the settings. Now change the format to HEF and you'll see a new BMR. For me, it's 2400. This tells us HEF doesn't need as much bandwidth as H.264 to provide a similar looking stream. I should note this is what the Streamcaster app recommends. IRL Pro and Android suggest higher values, so if you manually input a bitrate that's in the ballpark of what they suggest, I think you'll be fine. But it's easier to let BMR do its thing for you by leaving the BMR enabled. That's what I do. With what we've seen of the Twitch app so far, let's open Streamcaster again. Choose a resolution of 720p with a frame rate of 30 fps and format of H.264. If you're wondering, streaming directly to Twitch with a format of HEF causes an error because it's not currently supported by them. The BMR should be a bitrate of 2000, confirming what we saw earlier. Remember, when the bitrate dropped below 2000, the stream started to look bad, then really bad, as it no longer had the minimum bitrate required for the resolution, frame rate and format we started with. Since the resolution can't be changed after you started streaming, the Twitch app chose to lower the other numbers in order to stay connected, but at the cost of a choppy and worse looking stream. If you'd like some homework, compare what BMR you get when choosing a resolution of 1080p at 30 and 60 FPS with a format of H.264 and HEV. Then repeat this again for 720p. I think you'll find the results between live streaming at 1080p 30 and 720 60 rather surprising. It's not the percentage you'd think it'd be if you simply multiplied the number of pixels by the frame rate. The third and final part of the diagram is bandwidth. It's this last part of live streaming everything else depends on. As we've seen, when your connection's great, the app can send a video with the minimum bitrate required for the resolution, frame rate and format. So this brings about the question of knowing, how do you check your connection or bandwidth speeds? One way is by running a speed test before you start streaming, or maybe a couple of tests to get an average of your speeds. There's several speed test apps out there, so download the most popular one for your streaming phone. After you've run a speed test, pay attention to the upload speed, not the download speed, because as an IRL live streamer, you'll be uploading, not downloading your live stream to the internet. Multiply your bitrate by 3 for a little leeway and compare that with your upload speed. For example, if we start with a resolution of 1080p at 30 FPS using H.264, the BMR should be 3000 kilobits per second. So you'll need upload speeds of at least 3 times that of 9 megabits per second. Any lower and your stream will start having problems. Okay, we're on the home stretch and should have a good understanding of how stream image quality is affected by the video resolution, frame rate, bitrate and bandwidth. It starts with a good phone and knowing what settings to dial in. Using the previous example, we can stream directly to Twitch with an average upload speed of 9 megabits per second, but if it's 6 megabits per second, we could go with 720p at 30 FPS. The great part about bitrate matches resolution is it calculates the bitrate for you. As the live streamer, you choose the resolution and frame rate, then compare the bitrate with the upload speeds you get after running a speed test or two. After you've streamed a few times, you'll know what your area supports, so you can leave the settings dialed in. Then when you encounter a problem, you'll know what to change, like maybe dropping the frame rate from 60 to 30 FPS. Then perhaps the resolution from 1080p to 720p. And if you're in a really rough area for upload speeds, maybe you can manually set the bitrate to whatever you get in the speed test. At least you'll have full control over how your stream looks and performs, rather than hoping for the best and being disappointed with it later. So what happens if you want a higher resolution, frame rate or bitrate than your upload speeds can handle? After exhausting all other options, you can try bonding your connection with another one. Connection bonding for mobile is a whole other topic and video for another time. So if you'd like to see that video, please subscribe and let me know in the comments. Or you could record while live streaming. That way you'll have a backup free from any connection issues and shareable for your viewers later. I talk about this tip and more in this other video here. Go check it out.